I'm going to have to come and tighten up a little bit. It's been a few days now, so it's just settling in the whole tarp, and it's all made from bush things. We got some the poles and everything is just from the surrounding area. So other than the rope and the canvas, it's all from around us. What do you think, Jason? Has it stopped a bit? Let's
give it a second.
How many seconds would you like to give it, Jason?
At least 10.
10 seconds. All right, we'll give it 10 seconds. In those 10 seconds, let me just quickly introduce you to Jason. Let me quickly introduce you to Jason, who's behind the camera this morning.
Hi everybody.
This is Jason. Hello everybody.
Watch that shot, please, mate.
And Brian on Giga with Scott this morning. So these are the camera guys, and Alex and Peter Bright back in control, guys. Always nice to have you guys having our backs that side. And that's the plan. I think that's been more than 10 seconds, Jason. Let's poke our noses out. I'm going to put my hat on. Hats are very handy, by the way, not just for sunlight and protecting yourself from the sun, but when it rains, I find the hat extremely handy to keep the worst of the water out of your eyes. It looks better for now. Looking around, it's a bit thinner there. There's another heavy cloud that side, so I do think we might get a little bit of drizzle again, but nothing to concern ourselves with too much there. It's just actually picking up a few drops again. Just take a small drive around. We are going to stick close by. A small drive. It could sort of be like a short drive, the same kind of idea.
Question.
Sorry, Alex. There we go. Wait. Oh, sorry, I'm a bit out of sorts with the rain. Alex, you're going to have to repeat that. Just get my comms on. Alright. Now I can hear. Alright, Alex, now I can hear you perfectly. Sorry about that. Guys, that's great. I love it, having conversations spanning over a few days. Chris, firstly, good morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. Chris is just asking if I ever got to have my fire there. The other day I wanted to make the fire, but then we had some technical issues, so we had to go back. Yes, actually we did last night. All of us, or almost all of us, were up there just to get ready for a fireside chat, Chris, which we're actually going to have one tonight. That's the plan, unless the weather or some other unforeseen circumstance influences it. But the plan is that we will do a fireside chat tonight, just a short one, just a rehearsal if you want. So we did make a little fire last night, and we'll make one tonight. So Chris, if you can, if it's time possible for you, and also for everyone else tonight, after the drive, probably not directly, but the current plan is for about 15 minutes after drive we'll have a fireside chat, and that's exactly what it is. Because we're going to sit around the fire, Hayden and myself, chat a little bit about what we've seen there in the afternoon, probably reminisce a little bit, you know, about what we've seen the last few weeks. I don't know, fireside chats or sitting around a fire is a very special thing, and having done that many nights and many thousands of hours in my life, I do love it. And the conversation that happens around a fire is something very special. And I think it's not just sitting around the fire in Africa. I think it's something that is part of our sort of primal memory. If you think of having done so for thousands of years, people have sat around fires and talked about things and discussed things. We always call it the bush television. Oh, you know what? And I so nearly grabbed my kettle this morning. That was actually my plan, to grab the kettle. Can I help you there, Brian? Sorry guys, just have to That's all right. A little bit more. Almost there. I did almost grab my kettle this morning, and then I thought, oh, too many things going on. Now I'm sorry about it, because this is soft enough rain that you could actually make a fire and make some coffee. Sorry, Jason. Otherwise, next time we'll have some coffee. Some nice warm coffee would be great now, just while we enjoy this view. At the moment, there's nothing on there. We're going to keep our eyes open, see if anything emerges. I saw some impala in the distance earlier, but they've walked off. So if there's any questions or anything you're curious about, I mean questions about animals, but maybe you're a bit more curious about what we do out here and what Africa is about, or maybe something about wildlife in general, or photography would actually be nice. I might give you a little photo talk just now. Feel free to send them in. You can tweet at #SafariLive, or you can email to questions@wildearth.tv. Oh, the rain's picking up. Having a nice little look around there. The reserve we're in, which is a private reserve firstly, but ecologically, in terms of the animal life and the ecology, is an open reserve with Kruger National Park. So it is part of the greater Kruger National Park. In fact, that view you've got right there, which is a lovely view down towards the eastern horizon, if you continue in that direction for about, I don't know the exact distance, but probably about 4 kilometers or something like that, then you actually get to the Kruger boundary, which is just a little road. I mean, it's all open. So we are in a very large ecological area, but where we are physically traversing or driving around is in the northern Sabi Sands. The Sabi Sand Game Reserve is called so because of 2 rivers. You've got the Sabi River, which is quite a big river. It's one of the big rivers going down to, well, all the way to the ocean. The Sabi River is running on the southern boundary of the reserve, and then the Sand River cuts through, not quite halfway, it's a little bit north of halfway through the reserve. So if you imagine that to be the Sabi Sands, which is almost that sort of that shape, with the Kruger National Park running up in a big area up here, we are on the northern edge of it. So if you were to look on a map, you would see Kruger National Park, you would see Sabi Sands, and you would also see Manyeleti Game Reserve, Manyeleti, M-A-E-T-I, if I remember the spelling correctly, and we are just south of that. So we're on the northern area of Sabi Sands, just south of Manyeleti, and obviously just west of Kruger National Park. We traverse 2 areas, or 2 pieces of land, if you want. Western Gari, which is the one we are now, or Juma, you could call it Juma as well, and Aratuza, which is slightly further west of here, where of course Aratuza Safari lodges, and on Juma we've got Voyatela and Gallagher Lodge, 2 lodges here. So beautiful area, and in many ways a lovely area, especially Juma. There's not that much commercial activity in terms of lodges, so which is why we often have the opportunity to stay with leopard if we do find them for an hour or an hour and a half of the game drive, because there's not that many vehicles that want to try and view it as well. So it's a lovely area. I actually did a lot of thinking yesterday. I was very spoiled yesterday. That's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you something I saw yesterday morning. We traveled a bit further out than what we could in terms of where we can traverse it, or where we also have signal to do this. I had a morning sort of break yesterday morning, and I went with Joost Danhauser, which many of you might know about. Great photographer, great, super nice guy. He comes to this area very close to 9-10 weeks of the year he visits here. So he comes down very often, knows the leopard very well, knows the area very well, loves wildlife, loves photography, so we had a lot to talk about. And and because I was with him and in a private vehicle, because he's got parts of a lodge basically, we could drive further afield. So I saw some things yesterday that I know many of you would like to. So I'm going to begin this morning. Yeah, pictures this morning, come back in here. But as soon as it stops raining, what I'm going to parts of a lodge basically, we could drive further afield. So I saw some things yesterday that I know many of you would like to. So I'm going to begin this morning. Yeah, pictures this morning, come back in here. But as soon as it stops raining, what I'm going to try and do, which is now in 10 seconds, like Jason likes, we're going to go for a little drive around. We're not going to go much further than in a bit. Let's take a short little ramble around. Just say that again for me, please. Just say that again for me, please. And this is an example of elephants eating bark. Lewis, you were asking if it's from animals rubbing on the tree. Other times of the year they tend to eat more from other trees, the acacias. This is a marula tree. Saw the cluster leaf. Lewis, you were asking if it's from animals rubbing on the tree. Other times of the year they tend to eat more from other trees, the acacias. This is a marula tree. Saw the cluster leaf there to the right that I can see that it was. Light, you get this lovely sort of soft glow around the edges of the leaves. For some rain. It's rain. It's not rain as much as it is. We get closer to them first. rain as much as it is. We get closer to them first. There you can see them. To them first. There you can see them. Paula. To them first. There you can see them. Paula. More zebra. Here one was having a bit of roll in the wet sand. Those wildebeest. I haven't actually spoken to the game drives this morning. Let's just see if
back out again. We had to rush back to seek shelter. The drizzle back out again. We had to rush back to seek shelter. The drizzle turned into more substantial rain, and hope they back at us and poke their head from side to side to get a view. And I forget the name of a viewer, but a viewer did ask the other day why we haven't seen a green sheen when. And I forget the name of a viewer, but a viewer did ask the other day why we haven't seen a green sheen when. This one's having a close look at us, but we having a close look at us, but we may get lucky. Very small nocturnal primate with massive very small nocturnal primate with massive I do see any predators, and it often helps us to I do see any predators, and it often helps us to narrow down where a leopard could be, and I often use angle. So sorry about that. So sorry about that. Oh, looks like Brian does have his work cut out for him here this morning, trying to track these. This morning, trying to track these guys jumping through the trees. And they were on them, but as the months, as a few weeks pass by, these marula fruits will turn to a yellow. Incredible how nimble they are over all these thin little branches. Oh, it's drinking off the tree there. Look at that. That is awesome. Just licking up the moisture that's collected on the branches. Okay, they have all disappeared into a less. Oh, I've just seen a tiny baby that I would like to try and get in position for Brian to film. Cute. You can see it's certainly not as well coordinated as its slightly older cousins. To hazard a guess, I'd say it's possibly 2 weeks old, but again, that is a guess. Very difficult to age animals unless you have been fortunate enough to see a birth and then follow the growth of that youngster closely. For obvious reasons, out here in the wild, it's difficult to follow animals closely. So in captivity, and people that have spent time working with animals in rehabilitation centers or breeding centers, that they, for example, would be able to tell more closely how old an animal may be. But for me, only having worked in wild places, we don't always have full view and full understanding of what the animals are doing. I'm gonna ask Brian just to try and pan behind us. There's 2 woodlands kingfishers. I know Hayden's been desperately trying to. I just need to move forward a little bit. I know Hayden's desperately trying to show you guys them, but they tend to fly off. Is that gonna work, Brian?
Can you tilt it back?
Okay. Oh, they've gone. Okay, so the woodlands kingfishers have flown off, as they've been doing with Hayden whenever he tries to capture them. We will get them though, not to worry. Just seems like we've got a really potential cute shot of them. Look at that. That is awesome. Troops of these vervet monkeys can get very large, 40 up to 50. We can only see about 5 in this tree, but the rest of the troop could be behind, or it simply could just be a small troop. The mother's keeping a close eye on her baby, and that's obviously why she didn't let the other youngster drink from her, because she had a baby that was in real need of milk. Not a teenager trying his luck. Okay folks, we're going to carry on. As great as this has been, I've really enjoyed that. That was a cute sighting. And who knows, hopefully they'll help us find a leopard over the next few weeks, this troop of baboons. Well done, Brian. That was not an easy job, following them through the canopy.
Thanks, dude.
So Karula's last known whereabouts were very close to where we've just seen this troop of monkeys and close to our control room. And like I said that from earlier, that was 48 hours ago. Over the past few months and years, obviously this is her territory, but in the last few weeks and months I've been told that she has been spending a lot of time around the camp. And there is a possibility that she could be pregnant. In the past she has given birth around the camp, so who knows how far she is into her gestation period, or whether she did actually conceive young. But we are just going to stay close to the camp and see if we can get any of her tracks. Questions just come through from Sibby Fish on Twitter. Good morning, Sibby. Sibby's question was, are the marula fruits edible to humans? And the answer to that is yes. They are delicious. The fruits, like I said, we need to wait for them to go yellow and drop down from the tree. And basically they've got about half a centimeter worth of a really sweet fruit, depending on the tree. Some trees have got sweeter fruit. There's quite a large seed, and within that seed or nut you can find a delicious, or you do find a delicious nut. It's very hard to harvest and very small, but you do take the time to do it. It's delicious. It's almost the kind of texture of a macadamia nut, very rich and oily. Texture of a macadamia nut, very rich and oily. The squirrels are very good at getting those nuts out, but also in the marula fruits. And I'm not sure if you've heard of the liqueur called amarula. That is made from the fruits of the marula tree, and it is it can be drunk on ice or with coffee. And you can drink coffee in the morning, so there's a bit of a loophole there. You could have a sneaky amarula with coffee in the morning. But done out here on safari. I hope that answers your question. Thanks, Sibi. That was a good one. Looks like these hippos may have found some Amarula liqueur last night. They seem quite relaxed and in a daze. On the fringe of the water, there's an interesting predatory bird called a and gonna try and zoom into water. There's an interesting predatory bird called a and gonna try and zoom into it. It appears to be hunting. So it would be worth us spending on frogs mainly, and what they do is they kind of load up that very long neck of theirs, and then frogs mainly, and what they do is they kind of load up that very long neck of theirs and then spring it forward and use their very sharp bill to, sometimes depends on the prey species that they are going for. But let's keep watching and hopefully we will see a kill of sort. I'm not sure how it actually manages to see what they use their feet to kind of feel what could be just below the surface, and then maybe they just strike in the general direction of whatever they may have disrupted by moving their feet. But as you can see at the moment, it hasn't moved its feet for a while, yet it seems to be flying away. Beautiful. Maybe it's decided to try a new hunting ground. Just in front of it is a blacksmith lapwing. Very pretty bird. Hopefully they'll do their call for us while we wait here. They often do it when they get disrupted or a predator comes along. They make a noise similar to that of a blacksmith working on an anvil, hence their name. You can see that big rise just on the edge of the screen there. That looked like quite a sizable fish. Who knows, possibly the heron is in luck and we'll catch a big one. The fish that we are most likely to find in this dam would be catfish, also known as barbel. Quite a prehistoric looking fish with big whiskers out the front of their mouth, and they typically feed on anything that falls to the bottom of the dam. They are bottom feeders. Oh, let's watch this heron. It seems to be loading up for a strike. I think it certainly is worth us spending time with this bird in order to try to see it in action. So do bear with me. I think all good things come to those who wait, the old cliche. The last time I saw a bird make a kill was when I was in Tanzania 2 years ago. Very beautiful bird called the saddle-billed stork, and it actually caught a small catfish. I might even be able to put up a photo to show you guys. It would be great to actually see this heron succeed in its morning hunt. Also, by having the vehicle off and waiting in one place, it allows you to really understand a leopard or a lion was to be seen now, we would hear alarm.
Alright, well, that's another quick jump this way. We are back under the roof. Give me a second here, sorry, this happened a bit suddenly. Alright, let me just get my comms on. Guys, it is drizzling a little bit again. We went back to those blue wildebeest, the herd that we've been following on and off the last few weeks, or last week or two. And well, there's good news. There's at least 2 new calves. The one looks like she was born, or he was born, I was guessing about an hour and a half, 2 hours at the most ago. It was still quite wet. It was already walking around. Mother had dried it off a little bit. It was suckling. So the wildebeest herd is growing. And I just want to see, as soon as the rain stops, I do want to go for a little amble again. We could hear some squirrel alarm calls. Those little great alarm systems in the bush. Squirrels very often help you find things. So do you want to go check that out? Fantastic monkeys, of course. I'm sure you enjoyed that, and I'm sure Scott enjoyed it as well. And monkeys, monkey babies, all animal babies are quite cute. Monkey babies, obviously, I think we relate to a bit more. Yeah, nice to have a bit of wildlife around. Guys, I did promise you some pictures, so just while we wait for this weather to clear, I'm going to show you 1 or 2 quickly. It's not going to be much because I think we're going to have another window to go out soon. And I do want to practice this a bit for if we're going to do more of it in the rain. So let's try it like that. As I promised, oh, this was last night. This is just a quick recap from last night's drive. Let me just get this right. How's that? A little to the right, Jason, and as close as you can go. Cool. Alright, so last night we were very, very lucky that we found the hyena den again, or a new den, and it looks like they've... Sorry guys, this said we have to practice this a bit. Slightly more right, Jason. A little bit. Perfect, thank you. We were very, very lucky that we found a den that's been disused for a while and hasn't been checked for, by the looks of the tracks, 2 or 3 years by a car. And the hyenas were there, so that's great news. And possibly that the mother might be having young ones there very soon as well. So this is about a 5-month-old youngster that's around there. And I'll tell the story again at some stage, but I think the nickname Ndapandula, certainly for me, Ndapandula will stick, which is the nickname my daughter has, which means to be grateful, because we are very grateful to have found them again. Den sites are fantastic places to visit. But a quick recap for those of you especially that follow the specific leopards of this area. I was very spoiled yesterday morning in that I went with Jorst. That's up on Gowrie Main, looking back towards the Western Gowrie area. But this is actually what I want to show you. I saw Thandi yesterday morning, the daughter of Karula, and if you want, the older half-sister of Quarantine and Kunyuma. So Karula has had 4 litters of cubs. The first litter, 2 females, which this was one of them. Thandi, we used to call her Saseka. Both those names, Thandi and Saseka, mean beautiful. She's an absolutely beautiful cat, and I'm going to talk about her, but I want to talk a little bit about photography as well here. We had the amazing opportunity. See, they were in very, very thick bush, so we couldn't see much of them, and they were also in an area that we couldn't enter. They were right on a boundary. But when she came back onto the road, and this was early morning, we went out on game drive. We were on the road 20 to 5 in the morning already, so about 20 minutes before sunrise. She was walking in the shadows, so beautiful soft light. If you look at that. But then we saw that she was walking up towards a little bump, and if you look very carefully just there, can you see a bit of sunlight coming through on the ground. So got very excited. Joost is also into photography, so we actually talked about it. And then she walked into the light. If you look there very carefully, there she's still in shadow, and her face is walking into the light there. Now in this case I was actually just trying to get as close as I could get in her face, so I wasn't really going for composition here, but I was trying to get that early morning light in the face. And you can see there's still the back quarter, her backside and her back is still in shadow, so much so that as she walked into the sun, you'll see just now she actually blinked. There you go, actually closed the eyes because of the brightness, like we do as well, and then continued on again. Beautiful cat. Thandi, as I said, meaning beautiful. This is her again, a little bit more into the shadows. Guys, just look at the face of the leopard. They've got great design for moving through thick bush or moving at night, and they can't necessarily see that much, so they've got big whiskers on the side of the mouth, or on the whisker area on the top lip, and those can fan out so they can really get a sense of what's moving around them. And the same with on their eyes as well. Just look at the length of those whiskers above the eyes. Well, they're not eyelashes, I don't know what you'd call them, eye whiskers. But this is Thandi yesterday morning, and unfortunately there wasn't great opportunity to get very good pictures of them, but that was yours. He had a lovely time. But I have to show you this. Thandi has got little ones, and I didn't get an opportunity to get good pictures of them, so unfortunately we're only going to see little snippets of them. But about 3-month-old youngsters, they were playing around in the trees, and we got to see them as well, which was a true treat. To see young leopards is always very special. And they're practicing climbing. They're about 3 months old, so climbing is still a new thing for them. They were running up and down this tree a little bit, slipping and sliding. So those would be, just to get back to the sort of family tree of the leopards in this area, these would be the granddaughters of Karula and the great-granddaughters of Safari, female that's now passed away a few years ago already. There you can see both of them chasing each other. One, there's the other one up there in the tree. Even at this young age, 3 months old, extremely athletic little guys. Oh, and then we found some lions. But for now, there's Texan. Hey, Texan. He helped us with tracking the lions as well. We're very fortunate. That's Amos, Texan's tracker. Great guy as well. And we had an absolutely amazing view of these lions. But I tell you what, I think we can go drive around again. Let's see what the weather does. And maybe we'll come back and have a look at this again if it starts to drizzle. But it was the Nkuhuma Pride and the Matimba male. Not the male that we saw mating a few days ago. The other male. And I took some amazing pictures. Probably one of my favorite lion pictures ever of this guy. But that will be for if it rains again. For now we're going to drive around and see what we can find. Cool, well guys, thank you very much. It's always nice to get happy feedback about the pictures. Glad you like them. If we're going to get stuck in rain more today, or certainly over the next while, it'll be lovely to talk more about it, about the animals, to see Thandi, and hopefully, you know, if I have opportunities again, I know some of the other landowners are coming to visit, so if I have opportunity, I'll go out with them and go see other parts, and I'll bring back pictures, and I'll come tell you the story. But also, again, depending on what happens weather-wise, we'll talk a little bit about photography as well. So those of you that enjoy photography, you know, we can play around a little bit, discuss composition and light, and and all the fun aspects. I think there's few areas, if anything, better to photograph than wildlife. And I know many people like myself are keen amateurs that like photographing and enjoy it. And I'll start with my first rule of photography, my first rule of photography, and I always tell this to people, is, it's a big one, wait for it, take lots of photographs. I always tell this to people. I know so many people with great cameras and they don't take pictures. First rule of photography, take lots of pictures, because in that process you will have fun and you will learn things. I see what we're going to look at. They are just there. Oh, this should be quite nice actually. Don't fly, don't fly, don't fly. Brilliant. Miss Billings class. A third grade class, so you guys would be about 9 years old if I'm working out the math there correctly. Firstly, Miss Billings, I have to thank you very much on behalf of your class and myself that you're allowing them to come on Game Drive in Africa live as it's happening. And your question, I love your first question, is, are you guys allowed to ask us questions? And it's a resounding yes. Please do. I love it when young people are on drive. I think young people have such a great open mind to nature and to the experience of it, and it's always very exciting for me to know classes are on drive. So while we're at it, I'm just thinking, Miss Billings, let us know where you are. That'll be nice to know. And I'm presuming, I wonder where you'd be. Europe maybe, because it's a little bit early to be in South Africa. It's 5 to 7 year African time, or South African time. So let us know where you are, and you can ask any questions. Obviously Miss Billings will lead the class in that. It is also nice if it's from a specific person, so if it's John or Mary or anyone in the class specifically asking, you're welcome to tell us who's asking the question. And at the same time, I would love it if any other classes are on drive this morning. If you know, Mrs. Smith or Mrs. Johnston or you know, anyone else is on Game Drive with us from a classroom, guys, please let us know. Let's get a few questions and classes going here. It doesn't have to be super educational. It can be about the fun part of the bush. This guy, and I'm sure Mrs. Billings, all your class kids, they probably went Zazu as we pulled up here. I love yellow-billed hornbills, southern yellow-billed hornbills if you want to be specific. But these are the guys that great character Zazu was based on, and we're going to follow them a bit. They're fascinating characters, which is why Disney sort of immortalized them in their epic story of the Lion King. They are really cool birds. They can become very used to people, so around camps and places where there's sort of permanent presence of people in the bush, these guys often learn to sort of coexist to an extent. You know, they get relatively, not relatively, they get extremely habituated. Sorry guys, can you be somewhere a little bit easier to join you? They're right up in the tree now. What tree is this, Jason?
Silver cluster leaf.
Silver cluster leaf, yes, we were talking about it earlier, but they're right up in the tree there, Jason. Let's see if I don't know if we're going to see them. Not really going to see them. Alex, I think you were talking to Scott there on the radio, but yes, we're on quarantine. Hey, there we go, good find. With birding, often finding the bird is the first challenge. A great way to bird, by the way, is to listen. In fact, a great way to do many things in life is to listen. Because if you listen, you can understand a lot of things, and in the case of birds, you can find certain birds. Some birds are very difficult to find. I'll give you a perfect example just now. Some birds are very difficult to find. They might be shy, they might be in thick habitat, so if you hear them calling, you can know the bird is there. So that's your first thing, you already know the bird is there. In fact, with serious bird watchers, people that really go into birding, it's referred to often as twitchers, you find that even hearing a bird and having a confirmed call can actually count for them for their bird counts. So that's very interesting. Guys, but these hornbills are not playing the game. I'm going to keep an eye out for them because we can get them on the termite mounds in wet weather like this. The termites are quite active. You might find them later following around dwarf mongoose, which I really enjoy as well. I saw something else just here, just around the corner. On her own, she'll probably join the herd a bit later. I presume it's because this little lamb is probably hours old. Yes, definitely. This little impala just trotting off there. Don't be shy, guys. Would have been born somewhere in the course of the night. 3-4 hours at the most. Oh, and the plot thickens. Mrs. Billings' class is actually made out of teachers at the moment. So, Mrs. Billings, hello once again. Fantastic to have you guys here. As I said, this is always very exciting. I know for HT as well, Hayden Turner, the other presenter, who's done so many fascinating things in his life. But one of the things he's very passionate about is education for young people. In fact, he runs a program in England where they take young people of all ages into the forest and teach them basic things like making fire from flint and just forest understanding and forest appreciation. So I know that this is something I speak not only for myself, and I say that it's really awesome. I must also say it's nice to talk to a group of teachers together, because being from Kentucky, you guys are not in school at the moment. You've got sort of an off night, I think, because what is Kentucky? I'm just trying to do the math here. It should be about 11 o'clock at night. Let me know if I'm an hour or so out or not. So, or 10 o'clock maybe. It's still early in the morning, so my brain is in bush mode. But guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and this goes for everyone, to get questions, and this is not just teachers or not just from India, to get questions is fantastic, and to get questions about what's going on and about Africa and so on, we love it. So please keep in mind for the next week or 2-3, we love good questions. We're going to Big Cat Week over this weekend, which will be on the National Geographic Channel in North America. So we need you guys to help us have good conversations, because the conversations in many parts are directed by the questions. Let's go a little bit closer. Mr. Billings, if you guys want to ask away and have a few questions, let me know the other teachers' names. It'd be quite cool to know. Surnames in the case of a class, so if we're sitting in class, surnames are fine because it's Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing. Or first names. I always like first names. All the years that I guided, my name's Peter, and your name's John or Mary. It is a first name basis out in Safari, except if it is in the classroom. But guys, this is something, while we're talking about it, we've got 6 teachers there. So if you guys all speak to 6 teachers again, you know the whole 6 degrees of separation thing. We could quickly have a lot of teachers on board with us. And while we're following this impala, I'm going to ramble on a little bit. We've been talking about trying to get so many people to witness one live wildlife experience together during Big Cat Week, maybe towards the end of Big Cat Week. And I've mentioned it a little bit on air, and closer to the time, hopefully this will build momentum. Imagine we could get 1 million or 2 or 3 million people to share a single wildlife moment real time, live, like we are doing now. And I think a great way to start with that would be with schools around the world. Guys, I'm not going to follow that impala more. Even though she's far away, let's just have a last look at her. She's going into some thicker bush. I think because that lamb is so tiny, she wants to make sure there's no attention drawn to it at all, even ours. So I'm going to leave her alone, and we're going to just take a slow drive around. We're not going to go far. This bit of soft rain, I think, will keep coming and going this morning, so we'll stick close to the bush tent. So building up is if we could get a lot of people involved in saying, guys, let's do this. Let's do this like a global thing, if you want. Let's plan to have a lot of people share a moment. Schools would be great, because there's a lot of schools, and I do think this ties in many ways with many levels of education. It teaches kids about Africa and wildlife, but also about the fact that the world is becoming a small place. We can sit here and I can say, hello Mrs. Billings, how are you? And hello to the other teachers. I can go, hello Chris, and ask your question relating to a few days ago, like we did earlier. And that's just, so I keep shaking my head about it in wonder now and again. I've done this for quite a while now. This is so cool to be able to do this, and not just to be live in Africa and you guys going along, but the fact that you can ask questions and the fact that you can draw people in. I've had some amazing experiences with classrooms joining on Game Drive, and that communication, you can feel how people are in the same moment. Me and the kids and you and everyone else is in the same space, and that's amazing. It really is. It's not that I'm in Africa and you're in Kentucky, it's more that we can share this mutual space which is happening right now. So yes, please get your classes on there, get all of them together, get them all in the big assembly hall and do a Game Drive together like that, or from the classes itself. It is a lot of fun. Get the kids to get into it, get interactive about it, ask the questions, and even maybe between different classes, you know, go wild. If you have ideas, if you guys want to have you know, I don't know, whatever you can come up with. You guys are teachers, you're creative. The fact that you're sitting there asking if you could get the kids to ask questions, I love that. So run with it, huh? This is I know WildEarth in general, but sort of on the extreme side of it, on the, you know, I'm extremely open to just having fun with this, because I do believe the more people have fun out in nature, the more they will learn. This is not a serious place. You know, nature is not a morbid place that you have to fear and be serious in. It's a beautiful place with so much excitement going on around us and so much life and you know, all these beautiful things to experience and share with people. So go wild, make plans, get classes together, ask questions, let me know the other teachers' names so I can say good evening to them as well. We are at the WildEarth. Let's just see how that view works for you, Jason. Okay, just going to get you level. There we go. Lovely scene, nice big trees. They've all settled down. So I guess I'm just going to get you level. That's good. All right. These are blue wildebeest or gnu, and we're going to talk a bit about them and all the youngsters, all the calves. That's the other great thing about doing this that I've come to appreciate and enjoy over the years. And years, I mean, back about 5 years ago I was involved with this, and being back now again is very exciting. But it's the fact that many of you are old friends, you've been on drives many times. You know, thank goodness you've had the patience to listen to me waffling on sometimes about things. So Donna from Nebraska, great to have you on drive again. Donna's just asking what other animals we've seen being born. Now Donna's referring to, we've had two amazing drives, both sunrise drives or AM safaris, where we saw wildebeest being born. The first one was Hayden driving along, and VM, which we now actually call wildebeest as a nickname, which means wildebeest, which is the name for these animals. Sorry, I have to chuckle about it because wildebeest from an English ear might sound like just a strange name for an animal, but directly translated it comes from Afrikaans, which means wild beast, or more correctly actually wild cow if you translate it. So it is a bit of a funny name for me when I think about it that way around. But anyway, H&M saw this. It took quite a while. The female gave birth. It was, as far as we know, we don't know it for a fact, but we did search on the internet quite extensively. It's the first live wildebeest calf being born. And oh no, that's maybe not. I was just thinking there's one female that looks like she might start. We'll keep an eye on that. I'll point it out if it becomes obvious. Then we joined them towards the end of the, well, after the birth, and then another one happened, which is in here. We'll find her, the one female that you can actually recognize. Jason, do you see her? Guys, that female, I think the one that's sort of almost squatting there now, that was, she's going to give birth just now. Oh no, sorry, she has given birth. There we go, that makes more sense. This one here, that one, that's her calf behind her. That's the one we saw earlier. He's still wet, look at his back. That little guy would have been born last few hours. And then again, sorry, my days sort of blur into each other. 2 days ago, Wednesdays, yeah, on Monday morning, we had another 2 calves being born. We saw the 2 of them starting. We watched the one being born. We quickly went back. It was Scott's first game drive, so we got him on the vehicle, and he came out and saw the second one. So we've seen 4 wildebeest being born. From this point of view, from what we are doing here with WildEarth, we haven't seen other ones. We're still hoping for impala, but impala are much more secretive when it comes to the sort of actual birth time of the baby, or the lamb. Look at that little guy. That's hours old. I would go, what's the time now? It's now just after 7 in the morning. 2 hours, if that. Already it's got balance, already it's moving. Never ceases to be amazing for me how quickly they can be up and running. Of course, there's good evolutionary reason for it. Hey little dude, little guy. So they're almost awkward when they're this small. Hey, it's there behind the tree. Behind the tree, Jason. It's going to pop out just now. There we go. Look at that. That's 1 or 2 hours old. The running is actually easier than the stopping. Oh. Happy to be alive. There's the female that we spoke about with the funny horn. You see the one at the calf now? That's the one that we saw the second birth from, and her calf is known as Brian. And she and her calf are the only 2 we can recognize because she's got that sort of funny horn. Just turn a little bit. Well, actually, no, we're good here. Sorry, I was trying to find that little calf, but let's just sit here for now. Great question, Lachey. A few minutes ago, while we were watching that one female, she turned around and she lifted her lip up in a funny way, almost like a little grimace. And that's Lachey just asking what that was. It's called phlegmon. And you know, quite often you get these pictures of sort of horses and it looks like they're grinning. That's often when they're doing phlegmon as well. And many mammals have what's called a Jacobson's organ, and it's a little organ, or like a gland almost, if you want. Gland is not the right explanation, but that's maybe explains it a bit better. In the sinus cavity area, so in the back of the nasal cavity, and these animals can smell normally from urine. So they will smell the urine of, in that case she actually smelled her own urine, which was quite interesting. But quite often you get males, maybe the wildebeest bull will smell the urine from a female, and they can and this is a layman's explanation of it, but they can smell or sense or taste. It's sort of like smelling and tasting, if you want to mix the two. Different messages in that. So they can smell. This female that I'm sniffing the urine from is in estrus, so she's at a very good stage to mate with, because the chance for her actually to conceive from it is very high. And then you get sometimes, I've seen it with lions as well, and that's the main reason. The main purpose for phlegmon is to test the reproductive state of females, and males do that. But they can also get a lot of sense or information from that in general. So you'll sometimes find lion, and they might smell where another lion is scent marked, and to really get the full information load, if you want, from it, they do phlegmon on that as well. I hope that makes sense. It's a tricky thing to explain in a way that doesn't get too scientific and too boring, if you know what I mean. These wildebeest are just getting sort of into their day a little bit. It was a bit wet and drizzly earlier. For now it seems good. I think we might have a bit of drizzle again in 15 minutes or so. But these guys have to feed as well. There's lots of young ones now. I didn't actually count this morning, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 at a quick count. And even though these calves won't be grazing yet, although they do start quite early to start eating grass, the adults obviously need to make sure they're getting all the food they need, because they need to produce milk for these youngsters. It's gone very quiet out of Kentucky. I would have thought 1 or 2 more questions from a few teachers would be easy. I don't really know teachers to be stuck for words as often as one might think. Just a thought. Alright, let's let's take a little drive around. Not very far, we'll probably come past these wildebeest again. As I said earlier, we had a bit of squirrel alarm calling. It might have just been something small like an eagle or a snake, something else bothering him. Squirrel's alarm call for a lot of things. Let's just have a look around, see what might be about. I would love to see some hornbills again. Maybe the dwarf mongoose, they live around this area as well. That one group that we've watched a few times. And if you've maybe just joined us for the sunrise drive, this morning we didn't see much of the sunrise because it's heavily overcast. We've had rain sort of on and off, light rain. And so we're just chatting, looking at a bit of the sort of interesting things around close to our bush camp, bush tent. And you can ask questions as well. We've been talking about the question aspect. You can email questions to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can tweet using hashtag Safari Live. I just spotted a little feather. I just want to pick that up quickly and I'll come show you. Look at that one actually. Jason, I don't have my earpiece in, so let me know if there's any news. Guys, this is from a bird that we don't see that often because you can't normally get close to see them, but we will see them at some stage. This is from a lilac-breasted roller. You hold it like that for you, Jason. I'll try and hold it still. Let's see how close we can get. Alright, now if there was great light, you would actually see the colors on it more, but it's got very almost like a off-white blue tinge on the side, going into like a light blue, darker blue, almost like a royal blue, black into the tip. So this would be, how's it there, Jason? You got it. What's amazing with feathers is that they actually have an aerofoil shape in themselves. So if you understand the principle of flight, like a wing of an aeroplane, you get that aerofoil shape, which is the bottom side of the feather. You would actually have to look at it like that. Is a shorter distance than the top side, so air flowing over it creates a slight low pressure above the wing. And this works great on big Boeings and Airbuses, but with birds you get the same in the wing, but you actually find that in each feather. So if you were to do, let's go a little bit wider. I mean, this is not a very big feather. If you take big feathers like from vultures or eagles, sometimes you find these really large feathers. Pelicans, where I live on the coast, you can take a feather like that, and even just doing that with a feather, moving it through the air, you can feel a bit of lift from it. So it's quite interesting, but it's quite a beautiful feather from a lilac-breasted roller, insect-eating bird. Let's leave this here for Hayden. He's driving this vehicle this afternoon. In fact, those are, let's try and see them. I can hear lilac-breasted rollers calling. They are busy flying. They do these beautiful display flights, which is where they get their names from. So you get a few different species of roller, and they all have this characteristic when they do territorial displays. So one male trying to intimidate another male, or quite often one male trying to impress a female, they do these beautiful big loops and turns and real acrobatic flight, you know, sort of Red Bull air races kind of stuff. And that's where the name roller comes from. Have a close look at this in this area that the squirrel was calling this morning. Now the roller has flown off now. That's the tricky thing with birds. They can fly away. Jason, young man, what do you think of the weather?
I think it's holding.
It is holding, that I agree with. What do you think it's going to do for the next 15 to 20 minutes?
I think it will continue holding.
You think it'll continue holding? I love an optimistic man. I'm a massive optimist myself, so the glass is always half full. Almost always. I'm just tempted to maybe go a bit further afield. Let's do so for a little bit. Is a lilac-breasted roller, which whether we'll get to see it is the next question. But let's try, since we saw its feather. In fact, it might even be this bird's feather, because they are territorial birds and they do stick around certain areas. Oh, there's two of them. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Let's have a look. These are the same two that were doing the display flights earlier. Oh, cool. There we go. Beautiful bird. I'm sure you can easily see why it's called a lilac-breasted roller. I explained the roller part of the name earlier. And it's got a lilac-colored breast. And in flight, when this bird takes off just now, you will see they've got spectacular wings. That feather that we're looking at is part of the secondary feather structure in the wings. So you get this beautiful turquoise going into darker blues like a royal and midnight blue, down to black wingtips. Fantastic in flight to see them as well. And they are insect eaters. You can see the long, quite sharp bill. And also if you look across the eye, sort of from the bill running over the eye in a straight line, there's a dark line. You get that with a lot of diurnal birds, or diurnal hunting birds. In other words, your bee eaters and flycatchers, that kind of thing. You often get that dark stripe across the eye, which just helps to reduce glare. If it's very bright, it helps to reduce the amount of glare that you get in your eye from light reflecting around your eye, and in the case of the black mark, not reflecting. There we go. You see the blue flash as it took off. Hello, Jennifer. Jennifer's just asking the size of that roller. Just stop here quickly. Jennifer, I hope you're having a nice time in Toronto. And the roller is about, and birds are always tricky because you see a bird over there, and inevitably once you get close to it, so in other words, once you see it right close to you, it's always bigger than you think. Almost always. The lilac-breasted roller, probably tail tip to the tip of the head, probably looking at about that size, so bigger than a hand. I would say the body is probably about the size of my hand, and then the tail would be about that much extra. So it's a relatively or it's a larger bird than you thought. Jennifer was saying she thought it's about sparrow size. It is substantially larger than a dove, which is often the size reference for birding. Yeah, so it's a relatively large bird and quite a chunky bird as well. They're very strong flyers, so quite a sort of a sprinter rather than a long distance runner, if you know what I mean. So quite strongly built. Hey! Great, Scott! Scott has found some big things for you to have a look at. So enjoy it with Scott. I'm sure you're going to have a lovely time. We'll see you back here in a bit. We're going to keep looking around.
Welcome back, folks. Welcome back. So sadly, the feed was lost when we were watching the heron hunting. It did actually manage to catch a fish shortly after we lost connection with the control room. So hopefully we'll be able to get that video up onto the website at some stage for you to see. And we've just found this herd of elephants. The rest of the herd is in quite thick vegetation, but they could be feeding slowly towards us. I'm going to try and see. Yesterday, and what a great find. What a great find on his behalf. So we can do, as you can see, the vegetation is very thick. As you can see, the vegetation is very thick, so it will be difficult for us to off-road in here. Searching thoroughly for any form of sign, tracks, listening to alarm calls, but no kids. It's always a toss-up between moving slowly and searching intensely and making sure you fine comb an area to not miss any signs. Or the other end of the spectrum is just driving around quickly, covering territory, hoping that you may bump into something. So those are kind of the two different ends of the spectrum. At the moment, I would say we are on the slow fine combing practice or style of searching, and potentially as the time slips away from us, maybe when we've got an hour left or 45 minutes left, then we could potentially pick up the speed, try cover more ground and see if we get lucky. So that's the game plan that we are currently working off. Brian just spotted another elephant while I was looking down at my map. Brian just spotted another elephant while I was looking down at my map. So we should be... The tree that we are currently parked on top of. Because some of them are very hard woods with drive over those, because that would potentially snap them. Because some of them are very hard woods with drive over those, because that would potentially snap them. Okay, let's see if we can stick with them. There looks to be a few more ahead of one. Hold on, this might be a bit bumpy. We're going to be able to get ahead of them, and hopefully they'll be able to feed. Onto us. They look like two young bulls, which also are quite good to view because they're going to just watch the tail wagging happily. Bulls, which also are quite good to view because they're going to just watch the tail wagging happily. Quite an interesting, as solid a bush of hair as you'd think. It kind of looks quite scraggly. Horizontal away from the looks quite scraggly. Horizontal away from their body and kind of slowly wiggle it from side to side. Massive quantities of vegetation every day. A kind of rough estimate to you'll be consuming about 160 kilograms a day, which is one gigantic salad. And if it's a lot. A day, which is one gigantic salad. And if it's a lot. And various trees will store their nutrients in their roots, typically during our dry winters. They bank all their nutrients in the roots. You typically find elephants pushing over trees more often to gain access to these and enjoy what Pete has in store for you.
Back to the and working our way down towards the hyena den that we found active last night. Back to the and working our way down towards the hyena den that we found active last night, and stopped did they go now? Guys, you can see we're at, can you see them? Through some tricky angles. These are amazing vehicles for it. I know you guys in Kentucky were asking about if it's difficult to drive the 4x4 out here. Sometimes it's difficult, but always it is fun. Watch what they're doing. So they've got a little watering spot just close to the den. The den is only about... Sometimes it's difficult, but always it is fun. Watch what they're doing. So they've got a little watering spot just close to the den. The den is only about, not even 100 yards from here. This rain we've had means that there's lots of water everywhere now. Just these little seepage ponds. Now maybe not big pools of water like for elephant herds or for buffalo herds, but certainly for... She's having a nice lie down in it. It's not even that hot today, but she is very heavily pregnant. I will not be surprised if in the next... It's not even that hot today, but she is very heavily pregnant. I will not be surprised if in the next few days we suddenly see one day that she looks much leaner. Who's up to next? A bit of pun intended, I guess. Once the youngsters are born. And then Dapandula, the youngster that we saw last night. It's nice to see her around. Very fortunate that we saw them walking up the road as we were heading down, just because otherwise we would have gotten to the den and there would have been no activity. We would have obviously seen the tracks, so we would have known that they were there this morning, but we wouldn't have necessarily found them where they are now because they're tucked into this little dip here. Hello Josh, nice to hear from you again. Just asking, how do you distinguish between a male and female hyena? Josh, that's actually a great question, but not an easy answer, because hyenas both, well, the female also carries what looks like the male parts, so a pseudopenis or a mock penis if you want, and so from a visual point of view it's almost impossible to just tell the difference by looking at them. So you actually look more at behavior. The females tend to be, especially the alpha females, the mature females tend to be a bit bigger, but in terms of the clan dynamics, with the hyena social structure, all females outrank all males. In other words, even the lowest ranking female in the pack or in the clan will outrank even the highest ranking male in the clan. And you do find that males also move around quite a bit more between groups and between areas, so you would do it more from a behavioral point of view than an actual sort of physical look, if you want. Hey little guy, just going to see if he comes back towards his mum. If not, then we'll move. But I use little guy very openly. I mean, it's as far as I can tell, well, I'm convinced that she is a girl, the youngster. Again, that's from behavior, having seen a few interactions with other adult hyenas, and certainly with the male hyena before. It was very much the behavior of a confident, dominant animal. And with hyenas, the youngsters normally inherit the rank of the parents, and mostly it is the alpha females that have, more often the offspring. Coming to have a look at us. We will become good friends over the next few weeks, especially if they stick around this den site. all the things in the world to explore. That's a great thing with young animals, including young humans, is there's so much curiosity about life and all the things around you in the environment. Morning, Jen. Just while we're looking at this hyena female cooling down nicely, having a sleep there, literally in the water. You can see her belly all wet from the mud. She is massive. I mean, she's going to have youngsters, you know, today maybe. Jen's just asking, where's that youngster gone? Exploring. Jen's just asking if hyenas ever bring their kills back to the dens. Not really, or not in the sense, if I think I understand the way you mean this, Jen, is that they don't catch food and then bring it all back. For instance, like wild dogs to an extent do that. If they've got little puppies at the den with the alpha female staying there, they will often hunt, eat big chunks of the food, and then run back, even if it's a few kilometers. Whoa, what's that? Oh, sheesh. Something gave... What was that? Something gave her a huge fright. She's running all the way back towards the den now. Now she's stopped. Mum's popped the head up as well, or the adult female. It's actually not likely to be the mum of this one. But what was that about? It is a young animal, so it could have just been a scrub hare or a bird flying funny that just gave it a fright and it's reacted to that. But Jen said they don't really take food back. As I said, wild dogs will do that. They'll carry big food back and then regurgitate it for the alpha female or for the pups. Hyenas feed where they get the food, but they will take some food back. You often get old bones and bits and pieces around the den site for the youngsters to chew on. But it's not like a specific habit where they hunt and then take the food back and feed at another location. They feed where they hunt. Oh, buffalo running through here. That's what it's about. What's that about? There we can just see them a little bit. Two big buffalo. I don't know if we'll actually see them. I just saw them through the back, crashing through there. But now, exactly as this hyena is doing, that's leaving me very curious as to why are those buffalo running through here. I've lost visual now of the youngster in Dapandula. She's headed, I think, all the way back to the den. Great, that instinct as well. As soon as there was any sort of concern or threat, straight away back to the den. Still not sure why that was. Now, it could just have been some behavior from those buffalo, that's maybe one chased another one or something strange like that. Could be from predators, although they were just running away. Typically, you know, buffalo, if they do see predators, they will run away a little bit, but then they'll keep an eye on them rather to know where they are. She's really looking though, really looking. Let's move a little bit, maybe we can get a better view. We're sort of behind the bushes here. Jason, you sitting good? She's also heading back to the den, looking back over her shoulder. Going right past the vehicle, and she almost brushed the back end there with her shoulder. There she goes. Moving quite fast with a hugely pregnant belly. You can see the mammary glands also swollen at the back. She's not suckling yet, so she doesn't have the pups yet, but soon. Let's see what this is about. I've got a feeling we might have something else in the air. Not in the air, around here I mean. You know what I mean. She was looking that direction. We can have a quick little drive around and then we'll go back to the den. They're going back to the den, so we should find them again. Let's go see if we can see anything this side. Jason, can I swing to the left there in the back? How's that? What's there?
Stump.
A stump, a small one or a big one?
An avoidable one.
Okay, cool. Let's see what those buffalo might have been running from, and what the hyena might have seen. Nothing yet. No. Could have been. There's a kudu or two, and it's a little bit difficult to see, but you can see two of them in the left. One is lying down, so they're not too concerned. Although I must say that that one female, that one there, beautiful view through the branches here. So silver cluster leaves again that we spoke about earlier. Ah, that's lovely. She is listening and looking quite intently, not at us. But I haven't seen any tracks now. I mean, obviously you can miss tracks. Animal just has to step on a bit of grass or something, you don't see the track. But no alarm call yet from her, but certainly a bit of alertness. Now again, if buffalo come running through the area for whatever reason, it will alert other things around there. So it might have just been some unexplained reason why the buffalo came running through, and that's now had the hyena respond to it and got the kudu's attention. Let's look a bit more. maybe just something strange and spooky. To sort of give you an idea, I saw a little window here that you can actually see the hyena den from. If you look down that way, Jason, sort of down into the dip, there's a termite mound with a little bit of like a splash of red dead leaves above it and a dead tree behind it. You see that? Exactly. Let's go slightly forward. That's the den. In fact, if you look very carefully, you can see the movement from the one hyena's ear just flicking away, chasing a few flies. It looks like the adult lying right at the entrance of the den. That gives you a long distance view. We're going to go back there now and have a look. Get a bit closer. They are back at the den, so we'll have a nice look at them. I don't think it was something serious. I mean, lion or leopard would be the two that you'd expect to have disturbed those buffalo. Wild dog, maybe we saw that a couple of weeks ago when the wild dogs were chasing the buffalo, even though they're never ever going to catch one. It was still funny to see how they would actually chase the buffalo and chase after them, even when the buffalo ran away. And if it got down to the crunch, the buffalo would turn around and they would fight off the dogs quite easily. But still, predator, prey, it's always that dynamic to consider. We're heading back around to those hyenas, and great to have a question about them. Connie, glad you can join us as well. You're part of Miss Billings' group, and I hope you guys have come up with a few cool ideas for the kids to enjoy this. Look forward to hearing from you over the next few days. Typically hyenas have got 2 pups or cubs. I said last night, for 18 years now, since I started guiding, 17 years. Actually no, wait. Yeah, 18 years since I started guiding the first time. How old are you, Jason, again?
20.
20. I was guiding when I was 19. And anyway, kind of to get back to the question. Typically 2. And I need to go catch up on all the little sort of intricate details and examples of hyena behavior again. But you get a very interesting behavior from hyenas where the firstborn will often physically attack the second-born while being born, especially if the firstborn is a female and the second-born is a male, or female for that matter, because there is that dominance and hierarchy aspect to keep in mind. So some interesting behavior from hyenas. Also the fact that the youngsters are slightly more developed than you would find, for instance, with lion cubs that are born very artificial, very weak and blind. Hyenas got this instinct to want to be dominant from birth, so very interesting behavior. Right, we just have to make our way through. That's the old road. It's a bit of a tricky one, but we have the right vehicle for tricky roads, so that's not a problem. Let's go see the hyenas. That's very important, the safety of the den. Obviously, given enough time, lions, leopard, elephant, buffalo, all things that might potentially be a threat of some way or another to the hyenas, they do come past here. The den is just a perfect place they can hide in, even for the mother if she has the youngsters now, but obviously also for the young hyena. Just look at that full belly, and you can see the mammary glands. Actually, perfect example now to look at. I know she is so ready to have her youngsters, but definitely not suckling yet. If she had the pups already, the new ones, you would see it that they've been suckling. The youngster is almost certainly inside the den now. Whatever they perceived to be a threat earlier, they're not too concerned about. You can see she's quite comfortable, although she is looking around, keeping an eye out. Let the game drivers know that the hyenas are at the kaya, as we say in Shangaan. The name for house is kaya. Morning all stations, just to update, the MPC kaya is active. Well, as we can see, apart from the odd, maybe little parasite that's making a itch, or the tick that she's got to bite off there, this female hyena is very relaxed. Well, quite relaxed. She is keeping a careful eye out on the surroundings, but no rush to go anywhere. She's got the safety of the den right behind her, so no concern. And Scott has got something interesting that he just found, so enjoy that. We're going to stick here and see what happens, and we'll see you back here in a little while.
Welcome back, folks. Myself and Brian have managed to find quite an interesting scenario here, and what we have is a marula tree, which we have seen many of, and I'm sure many of you are aware of the marula tree. And what we have in this case is that it's providing a home to a very interesting looking reptile. And as you see now, in that little window of foliage, we have a rock monitor gazing out over his terrain. The rock monitors often use these cavities within trees, and marula trees tend to have these cavities quite often due to elephants breaking off branches. And this creates a perfect home for the rock monitor. They're obviously great climbers because they can get up the marula tree and then into this cavity and base themselves there. They'll go out foraging, leave the tree and look for often eggs or chicks, but they are not fussy animals. They've got a very wide diet and will take on just about anything that they can overpower to feed on. It does also have a relative here, the water monitor, which typically is found around water. And yeah, these are the two monitor species that we have in southern Africa, the rock monitor and the water monitor. Quite a prehistoric looking animal. And yeah, we were lucky to spot this from the road, which is about 20 meters further than where we are from it now. But to reiterate what I said a few days ago, when you're looking for animals, you should typically be looking for a shape or something that is out of place. So as we drove past this marula tree, I noticed a small little branch, essentially what I thought could potentially be a branch protruding from the side of the tree, but I knew that it would be unlikely that there'd be a branch so small, the size of that rock monitor's head, probing out of that part of the tree. So that caused me to stop, reverse and double check. I actually had a false alarm yesterday with Viam and explained to him why I was driving up to this small cavity in a tree, and I thought I'd actually seen one yesterday. But no luck yesterday and lucky today, and that's how it goes out here. So I hope you enjoyed that interesting little sighting of the rock monitor. We are going to carry on, as we would like to try and continue the search for predators. But what a beautiful home that rock monitor has. Quite safe up there, got a good vantage point for any potential predators and or prey that may be coming close to it. I'm happy to hear that okay, I believe there have been a few questions as to how I managed to spot the monitor lizard, and from here you'll be able to see what I mean. So this is exactly where I spotted it from, and if you see how, I hope that explains the story. That small little branch protruding from what you can see, there used to be a big branch growing out to the right, essentially where his head is facing towards. There would have been a massive other branch that's broken off and now created a cavity in which it's living. The fact that there's this very small head poking out, or what could potentially be overlooked as a branch, I knew from time in the bush that it could have well been a rock monitor, so I just pulled out my binoculars to confirm. But when you know what to look for, it becomes a lot easier. So I guess a combination of experience and luck would be how I managed to spot that rock monitor. And again, I would like to reiterate that when you're looking for animals, could it be rock monitors, it could be leopards, you are looking for certain things in certain places. So for this rock monitor, I knew that they like living in cavities of trees. I could see that that would form a cavity of a tree, and the fact that there was a small rock monitor type head poking out allowed me to double check. Another animal like a leopard, for example, you know is prone to be lying in a tree. So if you see 4 vertical limbs hanging downwards, or a tail potentially, it could be a branch, but it's not likely that a branch grows vertically towards the ground. So again, it's just something small that's out of place that could lead you into pulling up. I'm glad to hear you guys had what sounds like a great sighting of the hyenas with Peter. Just like I mentioned earlier this morning, to have a hyena den site, to know its whereabouts is such an awesome thing to have for us here. So 50 minutes left, folks. What does Mother Nature have in store for us? I've thoroughly enjoyed this morning. Start off with those vervet monkeys as we left camp. So now at this road junction, just to keep everyone in the loop as to my thinking, it's a 4-way intersection, so you could go left, right or straight. There appears to be a vehicle that's come from our left, so I would rather drive one of either straight or right, because no vehicle has been there, and therefore they may have missed out something, quite potentially a leopard in a tree with a kill in a tree. I mean, anything's possible, so it'd be good to drive a road that hasn't been explored this morning. beautiful family of herd of kudus rather. Interestingly, you could almost say grazing towards us. Not that kudus are typically grazers, but what they're doing is browsing at grazing level, if that makes any sense. So there's a lot of small trees and plants that are popping up after these fresh rains that the kudu are nibbling on. It's not actually grass that they are after, but rather small leaves. I'm going to keep rolling forward a little bit, at least trying to roll forward. I'm going to have to start up quickly. Bit of an opening that we're just going to have to wait for them to come into. Interesting, there's no male following this large herd of females, at least not one in sight. Even though now's not the time for mating, there often is a big male kudu, or 2 or 3, following behind these herds. Beautiful, massive ears, specially adapted for their habitat, which is typically thicker bush and woodland. Being browsers, leaf eaters, they obviously like to position themselves in thick, well-wooded areas, and these massive ears allow them to hear predators coming before they necessarily see them. And I am going to stay with these because you don't often find kudu to be so relaxed. Oh, look at that. Awesome. She's come up onto this termite mount to get a vantage point. Look how she's swiveling her ears around like satellite dishes to choose where she's going to be receiving her audio from. Wouldn't that be nice if we could just point our ears away from anybody we weren't too interested in listening to? I think that's exactly what she was doing to me. It's interesting to count the vertical white stripes. They don't always have the same amounts. I counted one earlier that had 9. This one in front of us now has 8. So it does vary from individual to individual. Awesome, I really enjoyed that sighting. My first quality sighting of kudu since being back in the low velds. For those of you who are joining for the first time, I used to work here about 2.5 years ago, and then I've spent the last 2 years in Kenya and Tanzania. But it really is so good to be back. In Kenya and Tanzania, you do get greater kudu in certain parts, but you also get the lesser kudu up there, which is a smaller antelope. This is the officially called the greater kudu, the one we're viewing here, and the relative, the lesser kudu, is equally as beautiful. Some may say more beautiful. They tend to have more vertical white stripes than the greater kudu, but are about 2/3 of the size. So that is what I was used to viewing up there. Okay. What a beautiful, beautiful view from up here. So as I was saying, I haven't been back in the Lowveld very long. This is my 3rd drive and 5th day. I had 2 days just to acclimatize before I started driving. Which leads me to say I'm not entirely sure of the road network. Brian's been very helpful. He's already been here a few weeks, so he's been giving me some pointers, which has been hugely helpful. Thanks, Brian. But there's still a lot for me to learn in terms of the road network of this part of the Sabi Sands. So far, what I've seen, it really is an awesome property. A good variation of thick woodland, open areas, some beautiful big dams. Sorry, I've just been checking the map to see where to head next. And the plan is to try and get to Treehouse Dam. Let's see how long it takes. So if anybody knows the way there from here, I'm on Rebecca's Road at the moment. Please feel free to tweet in the answers to me of where I should go at the next junction. If you don't want to go to Treehouse Dam, I guess you could lead me anywhere. I would be none the wiser. So yes, the first person to send in a tweet or email of which direction, which form to take in the next option we have, I will listen to you. Oh, really? I wonder when last it was checked. Brian just mentioned that there used to be an old hyena den straight ahead of us. So I'm just going to go and check for interest's sake. There could well be two clans, and Peter's new den site that he found may be for a different clan, and the old clan that used to use this den site could well have returned. So from my experiences with hyenas and their den sites, they often use a den site for 2 weeks to a month and then move to another one that they've used in the past. So they've kind of got 5 or 6 that they bounce between. And what that does, or I guess my theory is that after kind of 2 weeks to a month, there's a lot of ectoparasites, ticks, fleas, so they move out, leave the bugs behind to sort themselves out and look for a new host. And then they move into a den site that's essentially cleaned itself. It hasn't had anybody living in there for a few weeks. And they ping pong around. So there's a strong chance that if they have been gone for a couple of weeks, that they could simply return. It, however, does not look like the case in this situation. But just very useful for me to know, so that if they are the same ones using the other den site and they do move, I could be in the know-how to come and look here. No sign. As you can see, we've completely circled this termite mound, which once was their home. You can see 2 entrances there. You can also tell by looking at the soil that there hasn't been a lot of traffic in or out there recently. We would notice that the soil would have been scuffed up considerably more, even from here. So I think it's safe to say that nobody's home. Therefore, we will continue. Wrong channel, buddy. Okay. We've got one of the slow moving animals in the reserve ahead of us. So, the giant land snail, or African land snail, is on the move. It seems to be being escorted by an army of ants. A great time of year to see snails is now in summer, when there's a lot of moisture around. In winter they typically hibernate or hide themselves away because there's not enough moisture for them to move around and survive. Very interesting how the 2 extensions, for lack of a better word at the moment, coming out of the top of its head are its eyes. So its eye sockets are situated on the end of those long tentacle-like structures. And now you can see closer to, or just below that, it's got another 2 sensory organs which helps it detect food, and they are protractable or retractable. If you were to go up to it and scare it, it would be able to completely collapse those eyes and those other 2 small kind of tentacles that it's protruding out now in front of it. It's certainly living up to its name. at the moment. It doesn't even seem to be moving. And typically how they feed is they will feed over something, and their mouth is kind of centrally located about a third of the way down their body. Oh, those ants giving it trouble. That's awesome. Look, it's just completely retracted. You could find that those ants are giving it a bit of a hard time, because certainly nothing else around to have just disturbed it. Unless it's just camera shy. That's also a potential reason for it to have completely... Oh, here he's coming out again. Awesome, look at that. Imagine having that capability. Okay, so questions just come from Suzanne on Twitter asking how big the snail is. So I'm just going to simply get out and show you how big it is in relation to my size 8 shoe. I've got quite small feet. Size 8. So relative to a size 8, you'll see the size of the snail. Stand by. So not very big, or big depending on what you're thinking. About the size of a tennis ball, I guess would be fair to say. I hope that gives you a good idea of how big it was. Sorry, I did disturb a little bit by showing you that, but as we saw earlier, it will simply, as soon as it feels safe, just poke its head out again, see if the coast's clear, and then carry on with its day. I think rather than waiting for it to do that and then driving past and scaring it back into its shell, we should just head on past now and then let it carry on with its day. Wonderful. Sure, no problem. What is going on there? Okay, well, I'm gonna bid you farewell for the next few minutes. Enjoy what Pete has in store for you.
Well, welcome back this side. So I'm supposed to take my jacket out. I think the rain is gone for now. Still nice and cool, beautiful morning. I'm sure had a nice time with Scott. I know that he loves his critters. Things like monitor lizards and giant land snails. And he's also gone to have a look at the old den. We're very, very happy. Just a recap for those of you maybe just joining us. We found this den site again last night, or found that it's active again. It's a den site that, from the look of the little track in here, hasn't been visited for a year or two by vehicles. And we're very, very happy to know that the hyenas have come back here, and almost certainly, not certainly, but almost, this female is going to have her next young ones here. So this could be an exciting part of the next few weeks and a month or two's worth of game viewing. And they do change as well, so they might end up back at the den again where Scott was just now. But for now, this looks like where they'll be. And they're just being lazy. This youngster is looking around now and again. The mother hasn't actually lifted her head up in the last 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes. She's just having a good old nap. Oh, I know that feeling. You all know that feeling. Look at that. trying to stay awake, but oh no, dozing off. There we go. Just go with it. Just surrender to the sleep. Obviously, being a young animal, we estimate this one to be about 5 months old, a little bit more or less perhaps. There is that great curiosity about everything around it, but also the need to sleep and rest. And that's our plan as well. Well, not to sleep and rest, but to leave them to sleep and rest. We're going to continue on. No rest for the wicked. So we're going to look around a bit. We've got just under half an hour left of the drive between Scott and us. 2 vehicles. Let's see what else we might find. Cheers, you two. Yeah, sorry, no, I'm just leaving. No worries. Brilliant place. We will definitely be back here again many times. Cheers. Oh, there's a thorn tree behind us. Oh, let's have a last look. They just popped their heads up now because we're leaving, so. Cheers, you two. They're absolutely adorable, the youngsters. Just look at that little face. Hyenas actually, taxonomically or sort of classification wise, they fit in somewhere closer to badgers, so in between dogs and cats if you want. Closer to badgers and mongoose than to either dogs or cats specifically. So interesting animals. Oh, just such nice weather. No more drizzle. I think we're good for the rest of the morning, touch wood. But see what the afternoon brings. While we're leaving the hyenas, Linda's is asking, will that female have her pups inside or outside the den? Linda, almost certainly inside the den. Like most animals, she'll be very exposed and vulnerable when giving birth. If she's outside, inside the den, she's almost 100% safe. There's 1 or 2 random things that could bother her in there, but not really likely. So inside the den a good place for having the young ones. A couple of impala running up ahead. I see there's a few wildebeest as well. I'd like to stop for you for a bit. Cool. Ooh. Get it straight forward first. Looks. You happy? Thank you. All right. Black ND filter on. How's that, Alex? Okie dokie. Morning, wildebeest. Lovely morning. take a drive down to, what tracks are those? Hyena tracks. Makes sense to have hyena tracks here. We've got hyena dangers back here. We're going to take a drive down towards Twin Dams. Just slowly weave and wind our way back towards camp. But I think I just saw nothing, but let's check. Yes, I saw a tree trunk. Tree trunks can be quite interesting sometimes. All these different trees, you get so many trees that have been pushed over by elephants, and so they've got the roots sticking out, making all these funny shapes. It's about time we find the leopard again. It's been a little bit quiet on the leopard front for the last day or two, three. Now the one good thing about not finding leopard is every time you don't find leopard, you are closer to finding a leopard. Again, I don't think it's anything. It's a termite mound, and I think it's just some of the shapes on the mound, but very difficult to see. It's not a leopard, unfortunately. Almost. It was a good one. It was worth a second look. But on the termite mounds, you get these new sort of bits being built onto them sometimes. And it often has the shape and the size, even to an extent the color of a leopard, but that one is just termite mound. Still see some dark clouds there on that's sort of the southern and southeastern horizon for us. I think the rain is over for the day. Just look at how lovely it is. You suddenly get all these pools and little wallowing spots. So, nice place for things like warthog and hyena, even to lie in the water, buffalo, good wallowing spots. I love these little antelope. 2 steenbok, the smallest antelope you get in this area. You get smaller ones in other parts of Africa, but around here they're the smallest guys, and you've got both the male and female. We'll try and get them both in the view there. How's that looking, Jason? Wait a second, let's get that leveled out a bit. Awesome. Look at that. Steenbok. And you've got the male lying down in the front and the female there just behind standing up. Very easy to distinguish the difference, unlike a hyena, which are almost impossible sometimes. Steenbok, the males have got horns, the females don't. That's something that you almost never see. I've seen it I think 2 or 3 times maybe, but one time specifically that I can remember is a steenbok baby. Now you can imagine these guys, they're tiny. They're about the size of, what to compare them to, like a fox terrier. So not very big. When they've got the babies, they can be tiny, tiny, tiny. quick look at these guys. Not going to stop for long, just to show you. Oh, that's quite interesting. If you look at the kudu walking there, let me go a bit forward, Jason. Don't worry about the angle, it's just going to be a quick look. Look at what the oxpecker is doing, the bird on her back. Look carefully in its beak. A little bit far to see. You can just see it. Typically oxpeckers are there to clean these animals. They clean off parasites and ticks and fleas and things like that, you know. But this one is collecting hair. It means this one is busy building a nest, and they've got the unique opportunity because they have this very special relationship with large mammals, things like kudu, giraffe, buffalo. Oxpeckers can actually line their nests with animal fur. Some kudus, some of them lying down, taking it easy, others just browsing a little bit. Too much morning in the bush. Should be like this most of the day. Let's have a look here. Twin dams. Hey! Let's show you a bit of the local wildlife. There it goes. It's Scott and Brian. Check which route they've done. We'll probably go the other way from there. Scott again. Radio loud enough. Scott, you copy? Woodland kingfisher calling there. Morning impalas. Yeah, perfect. We're gonna just take a nice easy drive back to camp. Just chatting to Alex there as well, or he chatting to us. And I think we've got enough time to go past Treehouse Dam just to see what's around. At the moment there's obviously lots of water everywhere, so it's not so much that we're looking for specific animals at the waterholes. 2 weeks ago, before the big rains came, these waterholes were just real magnets for wildlife. But now it is well, to see what they might be. You know, elephants drinking, they still need the big waterholes. The hippo that we're looking for every now and again, we haven't seen him today or yesterday, or yesterday afternoon I mean. And let's have a look at these zebras, if we can get a decent look at one. But animals are creatures of habit, and therefore territorial animals, especially leopard and so forth, they will still move past the waterholes on their patrols. Oh, this is a beautiful stallion. Wow, look at this guy. Spectacular, nice, you know, beautiful markings, really stenciled in, nice dark shadow stripes. That's something that with Birchall zebra in southern Africa differs from Birchall zebra in East Africa. East Africa, they tend to be much more black and white, so to speak, whereas this one has got, you can see those beautiful shadow marks, especially towards the back side, the rump area. That's a young mare, and then this one joining you now is a pregnant mare. Zebras is a little bit more difficult to see if they're pregnant because of the stomach system they have, or digestive system they have, the hindgut fermenting stomach. They do have quite a big bloaty stomach. Even the rib structure allows to keep the stomach sort of quite open, or the space quite open for the stomach. Maybe that's a better way to explain it. But in that case of the other female, you can see that she's even bigger than usual for a zebra. This is still a young zebra. Looks like a young mare. Well, we've got just enough time left, I think, to make it to Trias Dam. Sorry, I actually have to repeat that. I couldn't understand there. See, 3.5 minutes, a bit more. I think we can make Trias Dam, hopefully we can. Let's see if we find something on the way. A single leopard track in the last 2 days around this area, so I think the two young boys might be somewhere either in a block on a kill or outside of our area, which in a way is good. It means that you'll have to come back at some stage. Let's see, we're just around the corner from Trias Dam. It's been a lovely morning, nice and cool, bit of drizzle in the beginning. I must admit, I look forward to the next time we have a bit of rain again. I quite enjoyed that short photo talk we did this morning, especially when we can show you a few things. Great just to get the interact, having the questions and chatting to you guys. Very excited about the group of teachers this morning that were talking about if they can bring their classes on this experience, can we ask questions. Just a reminder again, guys, we love that. School classes, the drive is fantastic. And we can even not dedicate, but make sure that we really focus on those kind of questions, because normally with a class scenario you get great kind of questions. So that was great, and I've used the word great many times because it's been a great morning, and we are at Trias Dam. I don't see anything immediately as we arrive. Oh, sorry, Jason, a bit of a hole there. Sometimes when you arrive at a water like this, you immediately see, boom, you know, leopards sitting there. The big male territorial leopards, they often like to take a bit of time around the waterholes. But not this morning. Also no hippo in the water like I thought might be the case. And I think that's about it. So I want to say goodbye. Sorry, I moved too quick for you there, Jason. All right, guys, thank you very much for a fantastic morning. It's been a lot of fun, as always. Jason, thank you very much behind the camera. Alex and Peter Brott back in control. From myself, Peter Pretorius, and on behalf of Scott and Brian on the other vehicle, thanks for joining us at WildEarth in Africa. We will speak again soon. See you for the Sunset Drive. Bye-bye.